Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to explain about the procedures. In my previous video, I explained about the process. Now let's understand what is procedures. So basically, in general, what is a procedure? So procedure is nothing but the sequence of actions or series of tasks. We can say basically. So procedure means like a sequence of actions which we will be performing. Yes or no? Now let's understand what is procedure in knowledge representation. Okay, it plays a vital role in capturing and organizing the steps or actions required to achieve specific goals and perform tasks within a domain. Means what? So procedures is nothing but capturing and organizing the steps. So it's organizing means it's like a structured format. We have to organize in the form of a structured format the steps or the procedures which are there to perform a task or the actions or the goals, specific goals, or to perform a particular task. We should have some steps, organized steps. Okay, that is known as the procedure. So this procedures is nothing but the instructions necessary for executing the various activities. So to execute the various activities, to perform the various activities, we should have some instructions. What are the instructions? The instructions are nothing but the procedures. We have to follow the instructions. We have to follow the procedures to perform activities and the events to perform some particular task. We have to follow some procedures, some instructions, some rules and regulations which we have to follow to perform some events. That is known as a procedure. Procedure is nothing but some sequence of steps. Remember, blindly it's like a sequence of steps which we have to follow to perform a particular task within a domain. It is known as a procedure. Okay, so this procedures also it will be providing some systematic approach to problem solving and decision making within a domain. Means to solve the problem. When the problem occur, how to solve the problem, that is the one approach. And decision making, so what decision we have to make if any problem occurred, what decision we have to take according to the particular situation. Okay, these are the two approaches which will be using or providing in this procedure. So these two things we have to mainly focus in this procedure: how we have to solve that problem and how to make the decision. Okay, these are the two approaches, main approaches, which we have to provide in the procedures when we are working in the procedures. Okay, now let's see what are the characteristics in the procedure. So the first one is sequence. You know what is the sequence? It's like a series after one after the other. So it will be in the form of sequence order. In a queue, we can say the queue order. Example, in the ticket counter, all the people will be standing in the form of a sequence order. Okay? Yes or no? That is known as a sequence. One sequence. Okay? It's like a series of steps or the actions which are arranged in a specific order. In a specific order, how we'll be arranging the actions or the steps to arrange the particular steps in a form of a specified order. I think you know what is a sequence. It's like a flow of execution. It's like a flow. It's like some instructions which we have to follow in the same way. It's like a flow. Okay. So sequence is nothing but a series of steps. Okay. Next is logic. What is a logic? Logic is nothing but the rule which we have to use for sure to perform a particular task. To perform a particular task, which are the rules and regulations which we have to perform. That is nothing but the logic. So it's like a logic. So to execute the specific condition or to execute the specific task, will be having some rules which we have to follow for the sure. For sure we have to follow. Okay. Next is modularity. What is a modularity? Modularity is nothing but the thing which will be decomposed into the smaller. We have a large substance. We'll be dividing that, will be decomposing or dividing the large substance into the smaller. Yes or no? Again, will be more subdividing into the sub procedures or some modules. Okay, so mainly this modularity facilitates to reuse the code. So we can reuse the code and maintenance and the scalability. These three are the facilities which we can use by using this modularity. By using this modularity, we can reuse the code and maintenance and the scalability. Okay. Next, repeatability. What is the repeatability? We can repeat the code, like code reusable. We can repeat the code multiple times. Means we can execute multiple times. Okay, now to get the consistent result. Why we have to execute the multiple times to get a correct result? To get correct result, we have to execute multiple times. So this facility also available in the procedure. Repeatability. We can execute the code multiple times. Okay. Next is adaptability, which I explain in the process also when I explaining the classification of process. So what is the adaptability? Adaptability is like feedback. So by feedback, we can modify our task. We can modify our product by that feedback. We can learn by that feedback and we can change the changes. We can change the changes by seeing that feedback. Okay. These are some characteristics in the procedures. Now let's see how to represent this procedure. Representation, let's see. We can represent it in these three ways. So first thing is algebraic representation. What is algebraic representation? Algebraic representation means procedures can be represented using some algorithms. So we'll be having some algorithms. We have some syntax, like in coding languages we'll be having algorithm to perform a particular task or to execute the particular program. We'll be having some algorithm. So how the particular, it's like some rule. So what is the algorithm means? It's like a rule, it's like instruction to perform a task, simply to say. Okay, it's like a rule which we have to perform a particular task. How to perform that particular task? We'll be having some rules and regulations like algorithm. Okay, so in programming language we'll say like a algorithm to perform a particular task. It's like a syntax. Yes or no? Next. So this can be like a step-by-step instructions, which I said it's like an instruction. Algorithm is like rule or the instructions, which will be like a step-by-step. After completion of this step, next step. So what is the instructions? How to execute the particular program? Okay, for solving the programs or performing a task. In programming language, how to perform the particular program, will be using some algorithms step by step. So here also to perform a particular task or to perform any domain, or we'll be using some instructions which will be step by step. After completion of first step, we'll go to second step. After completion of second step, then third step, so on. Okay, it will be like a step by step. Okay, we cannot go from first step to the last step. So it will be having some sequence of instructions which we have to follow from top to end. So this is nothing but the algorithmic representation. So it should be in the form of a algorithmic representation. So procedure should be in the form of a step by step procedure, step by step instructions like algorithm. So yes, next, what is the next representation? Procedural knowledge representation. Procedural knowledge representation. What is a procedural knowledge representation? Procedural knowledge can be represented using what? Declarative language. So what is a declarative language? It's like a describing about some particular knowledge or particular information. Declaring languages to describe about some information. Okay, describing about some information. So which they said, such as procedural logic or production rules. So which will be having some where will be describing some information. Okay, describing of information, simply we can say. So to execute these procedures, we'll be having specified some rules and the conditions which we have to follow. That is known as a procedural knowledge representation. So where we'll be describing the knowledge according to some rules and the regulations which we have to follow. Okay, next, what is the structural representation? So what is the structural representation basically? So which will be in the form of a structure. Yes, so structured format, which will be in the form of a structured format, like we can say structured English, structured flowchart, where it will be the flowchart will be in the form of a structured format. Yes or no? So in this way, so it's like a structured format. So this format provides the systematic way to organize. Organize means to organize in the correct order, to specify in the correct order, like document the steps involved in the procedure. So in the document also will be following some steps like procedures. So these are the three representations of the procedures. Okay, I think you understood the representations. Next are the applications where we'll be using this procedural procedures, where we'll be using now. The first one is software development. So in the software development we can use in the automation and stimulation and modeling, robotics and scientific research. In this thing we can use these procedures. So in the software development, we'll be implementing the algorithms and we'll be designing the user interface, organizing the code in structured format into the modular and reuse the components also. So we'll be using this procedures in the software development and in the automation also to improve the manufacturing. Yes or no? Yes, these are the applications. So I will be explaining from starting briefly. Yeah. What is a procedure? So procedure is nothing but organizing the steps. What is organizing the steps? Where to arrange the task in the form of a structured format, in the sequence format, to organizing the steps to perform particular task within a domain. Yes or no? Simply to organizing the steps or series of the steps to perform a particular task within a domain. Yes or no? Yes, this is a procedure. To perform a particular task, we'll be using some sequence of steps or the actions. Yes. What are the characteristics sequence? Logic, modularity, repeatability, adaptability. In how many ways we can represent? Algorithmic representation, procedural knowledge representation, structure representation. What are the applications where we can use? These are the applications. Yes or no? This is nothing but the procedure. So you have to remember the side headings. If you remember the side headings, you can write the theory by your own. You can write by your own words also. So you have to remember this side headings, which is sequence, logic, this thing. You have to remember the side headings for the classification or representation or the applications. If you remember the side headings, you can write the theory by your own. Yes or no? So remember this thing. Okay, remember the side headings mainly. And that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. Let's meet in a next video.